Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 8, Episode 8, Overall 393 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. I hope everyone's doing well today on this Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. I just got back a few days ago from the NFL draft in Detroit, and I have a guest on today. She is a fellow podcast host herself, and she's also a huge Detroit sports fan, and she's originally from Lansing, Michigan, and she was at the NFL draft this week as well. My guest's name today, her first appearance, Marisa Tigney. She's also the host of her own sports podcast show called Heard That with Marisa. Please check it out, which she just started up in August of 2020, just after I started up my show. And she's also a huge super fan of the Detroit Lions. We're going to bring on Marisa. We're going to talk a little NFL draft, a little bit of Detroit Lions, and also a little bit about her podcast show she started up 4 years ago. Good afternoon, Marisa. How you doing?
I am so great, Chris. Great to be here with your audience, and great. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Is this your first Canadian show that you've been on yet?
Yes. I was like, listen, heard that going worldwide. Let's go. Shout out to Canada.
Awesome. And let's get right into it. We were both at the NFL draft. Unfortunately, I was only there Thursday, but what were your thoughts of the NFL draft and the job that the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan did with that 3-day event?
Let me tell you, first of all, I have to say to the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, when this was happening, because right now I'm in Texas, that's where I live. I live outside of Dallas. And when it was announced that Detroit was hosting the NFL draft, I had to do whatever I could to make it happen, to take my show on the road. And if it wasn't going to be my show, then it was going to be me, because to be part of something that was incredible, such as that for the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, absolutely incredible news that was announced. Second, for the whole entire event to have 775,000 plus people to break the record. Literally, Detroit and people that flown in, they showed up and showed out. The city itself, the environment. I'm so proud to be from Michigan, and let alone from those that are around the city of Detroit, the surrounding cities. They have to be proud and brag about the awesome, amazing job that was done during that draft. It was electric to see. For me, the big thing was to see football fans from all walks of life. Didn't matter if you were from there, if you were from out of state, from out of country. It was so cool to see the international fans for the NFL to introduce the international fans of the year. They got to announce picks the third day. That was just awesome to see everybody interact with everybody. Didn't matter if you were a Buffalo Bills fan, if you were a Steelers fan, if you were a Lions fan, if you were a Cardinals fan, if you were, a Packers fan. Everybody, was walking in groups like a big family. And that's what I took from it, in the slogan that's been with the NFL for so many years: football is family, because that's what it was all about to me.
Absolutely. And the best part of it, no political stuff, no religious stuff. Everybody was there for the love of football and the love of the game. And it didn't matter if you were male, female, whatever your background was. It was just great. And I stayed in a hotel in Taylor, Michigan,
Mhm.
and I decided to leave my car there and take an Uber. And I got a 78-year-old guy named Johnny, who is a Vietnam a veteran. Awesome guy, huge Lions fan, and he got me down there as close as he could. It was quite the experience. The weather was good. I've never seen so many people in one night at an event before. 275,000 people. I did have to do a lot of walking, but you know what? The entire time I was in downtown Detroit, I actually felt safe.
Mhm. And it was worth it too because you just saw so much of the the committee that did such a great job putting everything together. The beautiful thing too, along with what I said, was how many compliments that the media, your NFL network, the ESPN crew, um, the Fox crew, different media outlets, different podcast outlets such as yourself and myself, ha- the ones that were on the major networks, how many compliments that they gave and how they felt in the city of Detroit and the fans that just made the vibe so electric, right? And it brought all of that out of all three of those days, whether it was windy and cold or whether it was rainy, whether the sun came out, which the day that I went, and I think the same day you went, it was just a really nice day to go and just to check out the foods, the food trucks, the vibes, the scenes, the history of Detroit, the history of the NFL, to know a little bit about the 32 teams that represent in the National Football League. That was just it was exciting for me to see that and to have the media talk about that on their platforms and to talk about the city of Detroit because that's where my dad is from. So I feel like I'm a Detroiter through him. It, that was everything. And I was chopping it up with my dad and I told him about my trip and everything. And I just told him, and he said to me, he goes, I'm really proud of the city I'm from. And that speaks volumes for me from him saying that, because you hear so many negative things about Detroit, but to hear the great things about the city itself, I mean, that was everything. That was absolutely everything.
And it's not just Comerica Park, Ford Field, Little Caesars Arena. The
Mhm.
whole area, I felt like I was in Toronto or New York, just another city, and it was great. People I thought were friendly, and
Mhm.
they had a lot of law enforcement down there too. And I think everybody did a great job down there. And I just wish overall my experience was great, but I was a little overwhelmed being kind of a rookie in media, and there
Yeah,
was so much to do and see there. So if I could go back, I probably would have got down there a little bit sooner than 5 o'clock at
same.
night.
Yeah, I wish I would have had the opportunity to, but I have, other obligations and such. If I was able to go, I went Wednesday. I got in Wednesday afternoon. I wish I would have got Tuesday just to, do some more walking around and seeing where everything is at and familiarize myself because the time it just goes by so fast. It goes very quickly when you think that you have this narrow window to try to capture everything and it goes like that. Then all of a sudden you have to be in place for the draft, night one, so you don't miss anything, the intros and what's to come. So yeah, I agree with you.
I wasn't able to get into Ford Field. You were. Was there an admission to go into Ford Field, or was it free to go in there?
No, this was an invite that I got, and I was so honored to go. I was with the person that Sergeant Michael Banks, shout out to him. He was Ford Fan of the Year in 2022. And
Awesome.
so to go around him that day and to see the people come up to him and know who he is, and he had been nominated twice. Previous was Barry Sanders, the GOAT of all GOAT the running backs, and then this previous time was Calvin Johnson, GOAT himself, Pro Football Hall of Famers, both of them, and he won it that year. And both of them had been in his fan cave, and he doesn't let a lot of people come into his fan cave, but he invited myself and some great friends of mine, and we were able to go and look around and see why he ended up winning because it was just so much incredible memorabilia from different games, different draft parties he was at, you know, to the recent, you know, the NFC North Championship and then NFC North when we won it. And it was just like a collection of history of so much of Detroit Lions stuff that he had. And so I was with him during that time, and we were able to take in uh, different things from the city and the sites and all the people coming in to the draft there on Woodward. And then so he is a season ticket holder. And so this was a party for season ticket holders. And I ended up getting an invite to go in there. And man, Chris, it was absolutely awesome. I mean, I did pass, you know, all of the fans that were there going towards the draft stage, but this was really cool to see why you have these dedicated fans for, you know, for many years, many years be season ticket holders. And to see them all in Ford Field, and that was my first time in Ford Field. I've never got to experience a game. Always wanted to, but to experience it that in that capacity for draft night number one, and the way that they had everything set up for these season ticket fans, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. They had music, they had food. People were just reminiscing about different games, the upcoming season, the excitement of the past season. The Detroit Lions cheerleaders were there. It was awesome. It was absolutely incredible. It was electric. The vibes from outside, you know, definitely carried through Ford Field that night too, especially when we got to our pick in the first round and got Terrion Arnold from the cornerback from Alabama. That was awesome.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but the timing of this event with the Detroit Lions having their best season in what 30
It
30
was over
plus
30
years,
years. Yeah.
over 30 plus years, couldn't have been better timing for this event.
Hmm. Absolutely. And just all of it flowing together. We didn't get the result that we wanted in the NFC Championship, but to sell out the tickets for next season and to have a waiting list for the following season after that, I mean, that speaks volumes of everything that has happened this past year. It's just, I mean, I just get goosebumps every single time that I see, you know, check out NFL Network and there's past games on, and you know, and Jared Goff and the guys, and what Dan Campbell, and I call him Uncle Brad, but Brad Holmes has done with this team. It- it's just, and then, you know, obviously the Ford family, Sheila Ford Hamp. It's just awesome. It's just amazing what the, you know, all of us as one Pride fans, you know, sticking with this team through the highs, through the lows, the ups and the downs, and what's to come. I'm excited for what's coming up.
I admit I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I have a soft spot for the Detroit Lions because I've had Dan Miller, the voice of the Lions, on my show.
Yes, legend.
Matt Derry, who does the Locked On Lions podcast, on my show.
Mhm.
And Detroit is such a great sports city. I have family in the Detroit area too, in Taylor, Michigan, and Allen Park. Gotta ask you this. We all know it's Lions, Red Wings, Tigers, Pistons, Michigan Wolverines. But if the Detroit Lions win a Super Bowl, I would say it would be a Detroit Lions town. And do you think they could even draw over 1 million people downtown for a parade if the Lions ever
Oh
did win a
yeah.
Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, all day, all day. I mean, that definitely there's going to be. I mean, people that were there. If you thought that the security and everywhere and the roads were being shut down was a lot during the draft, picture it if I'm gonna change it. Picture it when the Lions win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be absolutely electric. Every person, the city's going to be shut down because this that moment will be a historical moment. I mean, I'm definitely flying in for that. Like that is a non-negotiable for me. And I don't care, you know, I get lost in the sea of crowd, but just to celebrate with my Honolulu blue and white brothers and sisters that are there in the city, that flew in from different cities, different states, different countries for that moment is it. I cannot wait for that to happen.
Thoughts on Sheila Ford Hamp as the owner of the team, taking it over, and the job that she's done, and obviously bringing in Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the coaching staff?
I think this was a, because again, this team has gone through a lot. This city has gone through a lot. Us as Detroit Lions fans has gone through a lot. You get those fans that are dedicated. I mean, the one year that we went 0-16, that was a testament of how many people were actually going to be fans and stay with the organization. Then was with the big trade with Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. You saw fans get upset about that. So it's just always a roller coaster of, what people say about the Ford family, what Sheila has done with, previous GMs, and then bringing in Brad Holmes and bringing in Dan Campbell, and the culture is what the big thing that I get concerned with, because at previous coaches and previous GMs, I'm not going to mention their names whatsoever because they brought toxicity into the culture, I believe. But to see it from what it was in the locker rooms, and the cameras do not lie because it picks up from it, to now when you have Dan Campbell in there, and day one when the team was meeting with him before, the picks that we have now, before the Aiden Hutchinsons and before the Malcolm Rodriguez and before all of that, how the team bought into him day one. And I never saw that before. I don't think I've ever saw that before, where you had a coach set the precedence of, he's like, y'all just give me buy into what I'm saying, because I'm going to get you there, I promise. And he dedicated that to the team that he had, and some of them still, are on the team now. And they did. And the wheels started turning. We beat Green Bay at home. We beat Green Bay on the road. The last loss that Aaron Rodgers had in a Packers uniform was against us. Jared Goff was starting to click. Yes, Matthew Stafford went to the Rams and they ended up winning a Super Bowl on his first try. And, I'm so happy for him, because he gave 12 years to us, had Megatron, and then all of the stuff, that just came together, but we just couldn't get there. And for him to go and get a championship, well deserved, that's absolutely amazing. But this is our journey and our path now. And people buying into Dan Campbell, and then people seeing Brad Holmes cook, because pretty much that's what we say, like, let Brad cook, because he's getting the pieces that we need to make this team have a run. It's a testament of what we saw last season, Chris. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a fun watch overall, not just for the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, but it's going to be a fun watch to watch the NFC North for the draft picks that happen for the Bears and the Vikings, and us and Minnesota. NFC North is going to be a very interesting, fun, competitive watch this season coming up. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, golf in Detroit, Caleb Williams in Chicago, Jordan Love in Green Bay, and I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan, JJ McCarthy in Minnesota.
It's going to be competitive between him and Darnold, even though Darnold is the starter for right now. I believe there's going to be a JJ McCarthy sighting during that season.
Absolutely. Hey, before we went live today, we brought up Billy Sims. Tell us about how you went about meeting Billy Sims, and were you able to ever see him play when he was with the Lions? Because to me, he was the Barry Sanders. He could have been in the NFL Hall of Fame if he didn't blow out his knee.
Yeah, and that was unfortunate. I heard people that were standing in front of me talking about different highlights that they got to see him play, that they saw him at the Silver Dome, watching him live, to different stories of people seeing him play at Oklahoma and doing really well there. And then, getting Rookie of the Year, I believe in 1981. I remember seeing him as a young kid on TV early on. I didn't, see his whole career, but the beauty of technology and television and streaming today is where you can pull up his story and just see different games that he was in. Meeting him was one of the things I had on my list to do, and him, Calvin, and Barry. I didn't get to meet the other two, Calvin and Barry, because that was the next day and I had to fly out. But it was so cool to see how many people be in line for him. And it was, and I waited an hour for it. But when I tell you that people need to be so in awe of this man for this reason right here, Chris, this man took the time to thank everybody, not just, sign a football, sign a helmet, sign a mini helmet, sign one of his, photos, but he took the time to thank everybody for coming in the line. He thanked everybody for, recognizing him as a great, definitely with the Detroit Lions. Yeah, he listened to people tell stories about his career, what they remember about his, different plays, different runs, how they became a fan of his, and literally embraced everyone. They took photos of him. People were holding up his jersey. I got an autographed jersey, which was really cool. He gave me, I asked for one picture. He ended up giving me 2 pictures of him, which
Awesome.
was awesome. And, just chopping it up with him and just thanking them for utilizing his God-given talents and blessing us as football fans to see him play in Oklahoma and in the National Football League. It was just, it was such a moment just to, take that all in and, just see everybody just be so, I think, talking to him for a little bit, he was just so overwhelmed because the line pretty much was down the street, and he was meeting and greeting fans all 3 days of the draft. And he, to another person that I spoke with the third day, they said that the line was still long, but he took time to meet everybody that was in the line, and then pretty much someone had to stand at the end of the line and say, that's it for the day, and all that. But he didn't turn not one person away. He, shook hands with everybody, photos with everybody, shared stories with everyone. And he was just so thankful, and that's what we need to be with our legends that we have now that graced us and blessed us with their talents in this National Football League. And it was just such a moment to just meet him and to talk with him. It's just, I respect him before then, but it's a whole level of respect talking with him more than ever now.
How much does the Detroit Lions mean to the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan? And isn't it kind of coincidental the city of Detroit is rising and coming back the same time as the Detroit Lions?
It's awesome. It's awesome to see this past weekend, to see the numbers come out, not only for how many people were down there, but for businesses, for the economy. The economy was on the rise during the time when Detroit was this past season, when they were winning, when they won the NFC North, when they won a playoff game. To see all of that happen, it was such an honor to be on WLNS TV6 and did a segment for I was in their segment talking about how wonderful it was that we had the 30 plus year streak over to win a postseason game. And the beautiful thing of all of this is the economy and how much growth is in for the city of Detroit and those businesses, those mom and pop businesses that were built from the ground up, and how much of a positive impact that they've gotten to their bottom line, whether it be food or beverage or clothing or, sports memorabilia, shoes, that's businesses that are not well known in, all 50 states, but they're in the city, which makes it so unique. And the Detroit Lions, what they have done and what this team has done is turn an entire city of people that hung with them and stayed with them and stuck with them into a team that, I mean, you see it all the time on television, on the road, most importantly. And I was chopping it up with a few of the fans. These fans are serious. The season ticket holders are serious when it comes to the Detroit Lions, and many of them literally have overtaken the stands at a game when they are getting ready to win. Like, the Detroit Lions fans are in huge packs. You just see this massive sea of Honolulu and blue, and what they have done in the fans is just this team has meant so much to Detroit. And I can't stop talking about it, but I'm just so, I want to go to sleep and wake up and it's September. Because
All
I'm ready.
training
Yeah, I'm ready for football.
Training camp starts for the NFL in July,
Yeah.
and for me here in Canada, we've got the CFL draft here tonight, and then the CFL training camp starts in May. So for me in Canada, I've got the CFL and the NFL pretty well all year round because the CFL and the NFL seasons overlaps a little bit. So
Yeah.
pretty well nine and a half out of 12 months a year, I get Canadian League football and the National Football League as well.
And then here we have the UFL. So that overlaps when the NFL is done. And then you have Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Danny Garcia that has really revamped the UFL. And that has gotten people, still excited about football. And then by the time their season is done, like you said, there's training camp and then, there's the preseason games. And then we just right back in the swing of things with the NFL and the college football. And it's like, it's picking up where it left off from last season.
And I was so impressed in downtown Detroit. As you know, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, I think the population shrunk and now it looks
Mhm.
like all those businesses and the people that left the city are now coming back and never saw so many apartment buildings and condos being built and it was just an awesome experience down there on the Thursday night.
It was awesome. I agree with you 100%. It was amazing, amazing vibes, great view, great food, great culture. Football is family. That's what it's all about.
Would you say Detroit is definitely a football city first?
For now, yeah, it is. I know we're in a swing of things right now with baseball and seeing what the Tigers can do. I wish that there was more. The thing is, I'm so used to or being raised in Michigan, majority of my life, and then you come to a different state, different city, and you're not turning on the TV and seeing the Tigers the first thing, or you're not seeing the Red Wings the first thing, or Pistons. Those are the games that I truly do miss because it's a hit or miss here in Texas. With when the Lions were doing very well, and Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football now on Amazon Prime. Uh, I got to see more of my boys play. That was really cool. So that made me feel like that I was at home in a sense because that first, I think it was first or second year of Dan Campbell being there, we didn't have any night games, didn't have any Thursday night, no Monday night, no Sunday night. No, it was everything straight 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the whole schedule, with the exception of the last game that we played Aaron Rodgers because they had a schedule change. It was a flex schedule kind of issue. And that was the first time that they had a nighttime game. And then Detroit was rewarded with, Sunday night game. A couple, I think it was one Monday night. Obviously, the only time that I saw them was Thursday, and that was Thanksgiving. But to see them now, I can see them here more than just Thanksgiving and see them on Sundays and Thursdays, depending on what on Amazon. I'm sorry, Amazon Prime and all that. So that is special to me because it makes me feel like that I am still at home in a sense.
Before we get into some questions, um, what are your thoughts on this Lions team going into 2024? Because obviously they're not going to be the same old Lions or,
Mm-mm.
hey, they overachieved or whatever. The expectations now from the Detroit media, the fan base, there's going to be a little more pressure on Dan Campbell, the coaching staff, and the
Mhm.
players too from the fans and medias. And just quick thoughts about going into this 2024 season.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the draft picks that we got. Terry and Arnold in the first round. I think we got a couple of steals in Makai Wingo and Sion Vaki. Sion Vaki, when he was announced, and he was announced as a running back, but he played safety for Utah. People didn't realize he also played running back on the scat in the short plays when they were within the 20 yards to score. And he is quick. He's agile. I'm gonna be so excited to see how they utilize him on special teams, which is gonna be absolutely incredible. I'm looking forward to it. I know that it's going to be. We got the target on our backs because folks already are saying, I don't think that Detroit can run it back as they can because of what the Chicago Bears did in this draft. We knew that they were going to get Caleb Williams. Justin Fields is no longer there. He's now with Pittsburgh. He's going to be a backup behind Russell Wilson. And to see now that the whole North is going to be somewhat competitive, um, you know, this is good because this team is going to go in and not be afraid. I feel. I mean, let's go back to week 1 of last season, with the Freudian slip that Mike Tirico said that it was an asterisk because Chris Jones and Travis Kelce didn't play. But two people, could they make a difference? I guess in the media's eyes and those that are calling the game. But you had a whole entire team that went on the road at Kansas City, and I've been in their stadium, and it is a loud, obnoxious, loud stadium of fans. And to play there, not inside, not indoors, it's outdoors, and to get that win to cap off the season, you saw slowly but surely the wheels starting to turn and this team starting to cook under Dan Campbell. So it's going to be. I can't wait to the whole schedule reveal that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And this team is going to do everything they can to make sure they're not a one-trick pony when it comes to the NFC North. They know that it's going to be competitive. The fans that's been following this team know it's going to be competitive. It's not going to be an easy schedule. I think that Dan Campbell and his coaching staff doesn't want. They want the challenge. That you mean Penei Sewell getting a contract extension, Amon-Ra St. Brown getting the bag thrown at him. We're waiting to see what's going to be offered to Jared Goff. I mean, this is going to be a team that's going to remember the naysayers and the haters and the fair weathered fans and all that, but they're also going to remember the success that they have brought to the city of Detroit and the fans that have followed them from game to game, week to week, to the postseason and beyond. This team wants to bring a championship to Detroit, Michigan, and I believe that they can. And I'm looking forward to what they're going to do and what they're going to bring to the table coming up this season, this fall.
For me, as an outsider, watching the Lions last year, I think what the turning point for me was I know you might not agree with me on this, but was the loss to the Dallas Cowboys, the way they were kind of screwed out of that game.
We were screwed.
Yes, and instead of letting it get them down and reckoning their season, they overcame that, and to me, that was a turning point, going through that adversity and that kind of a loss.
Yeah.
And they didn't let it get to them. That meant, what's the word I'm looking for? Mentally tough, and they get that from their coach Dan Campbell.
Mm-hmm. Then they compartmentalize that robbery, as I call it, under the bright lights, because we were robbed by Brad Allen and his crew. But you are correct. It did not deter them, and they go and they take that into what I feel that they did is they took it into the next game and they played pissed, and literally continued to play like that, through the rest of the season into the postseason. And I think that they still remember all of that, we had a successful season, but we want to turn it up a notch, because now we got 3 teams that are coming after us in our division that look good on paper, but we're better, but we need to prove it as such when the season starts.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys did draft a Canadian from the BC Thunderbirds, an offensive tackle, Giovanni Mann, and I think that was a very good pick too. Third overall, or the third round pick, I believe.
I think it was third round, fourth round. Yeah, was he like 360? He's like 6. Was he 6'8", 6'7"?
Big dude, yeah. And I think as an offensive tackle to get depth, I thought that was a good pick overall. Mm-hmm. Before we get into some questions again, what would you give Brad Holmes grade mark for his picks so far?
The risk that he took, and people were wanting, and this bugs me so much when people want the big name. They want the splash. They want why did you get so-and-so and all this other stuff. And another thing too that I will say, and no offense to, my wonderful, amazing Michigan Wolverine fans, sometimes we're not going to get the individual to stay home with us. We did with Aiden Hutchinson, and it fit. And I was looking forward to that. But every year, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get Michigan Wolverines players to stay with Detroit Lions players. We have to get players that fit. And I know that Brad Holmes was wheeling and dealing on that phone to, move up, and he did several times. He moved up into day 3. and got picks earlier. I mean, we were supposed to have the Mr. Irrelevant pick, and we traded with the Jets to move up in the draft. And I think that was to get Sion Baki and the last one that we got, and I can't recall his name at the moment right now. But I like the risks that he took to get the players that he got. So I think it was an A-B+ that we got. I was looking forward to having somebody complement that edge corner area, because literally there were so many games that Aiden was being held at that was not being called. The calls weren't going our way. And so to have somebody to have that support for him, and have Terrion Arnold, which I'm so excited that he is now part of this team. And I was looking forward to it. And I know people were salty and bitter that Kool-Aid McKinstry did not get selected. People need to go back and look at Terrion Arnold's tape and see what he did for Alabama. And yes, Michigan played Alabama, but check out his highlights. Check out not only just that game, but the year that he's had. There's a reason why that he's going to fit beautifully into the scheme of things for the Detroit Lions. So I think that Brad overall, he did good. I really do.
And what did you think about 13 Michigan Wolverines being drafted? I believe that was a school record.
That is a school record. That was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. Get 18 of them to get invited to the NFL Combine was one thing. That it's in itself was incredibly massive, because this team was loaded. It was, I mean, Michigan wasn't 15-0 for a reason. And people can say what they want to say, and the naysayers and all of that. They can say what they want to say about Jim Harbaugh and, you know, the whole controversy that happened and everything else that in my opinion, they found nothing of. But this team was talented. They were loaded. They were good. They did the dang thing. And all of those Wolverines that were drafted, and some of them for, you know, undrafted signees as well, they deserve to hear their name called. And that was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I could not be more prouder than every single one of them going to their respectable teams. And good luck to all of them.
Thoughts on Shamar Moore taking over for Jim Harbaugh?
Very good move. First Black coach to lead this football team. I mean, we saw him when Harbaugh was suspended and what he did. Little bits about me is that Sharon Moore, he did get me on the edge a little bit, because he's that person that is just like, okay, please don't make this move be this foolish, or why isn't JJ throwing more, or why aren't we feeding Blake more, or what's happening with Donovan Edwards, or what is going on? I don't understand the plays. But his tactical skill ended up, and I know the one that really had me on edge was when they played Maryland, because that was closer than it should have been. But I'm looking forward to one or two things. One, I know he's going to coach fairly well. Two, now you got 4 Pac-12 teams that are now joining the Big Ten. And how are we going to do in the season when we play at home against Texas? Steve Sarkisian, because he has his quarterback coming back from last year, and then the backup being Arch Manning. And we are in the newness of finding a successor for JJ McCarthy. So I know that we're going to do well with that. People have asked me, do you think you all are going to run it back to the national championship? I know that we're going to, what is it now, expanded to 12 teams now, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yeah,
correct.
I know that we're going to be into that. Running it back, though, is going to be dependent on how well this offense is going to be, in my opinion. Again, we lost some really great pieces in our offense. We do have some good, some great ones that are still there. But I just want to see how the quarterback is going to, whoever is going to be selected as our starting quarterback, and how well that the offense that we now have is going to gel together to make plays. Because our schedule, looking at it again, we're on the road at Ohio State. I know we have Michigan State at home. We have Texas at home. Um, you know, I mean, these four teams that are added, UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington coming into the mix now. This is going to really put the Big Ten on notice. So the target is bigger for Michigan, but I'm 60-40 on them running it back to the national championship right now.
Last Michigan question. Thoughts on Blake Corum's career at Michigan as a running back, and do you see him having a successful NFL career with the Los Angeles Chargers?
Oh, he's going to have a great career with the Los Angeles Chargers. Um, he's 5'7 3/4. I believe that he was measured that at the combine,
That's
and
my
but
height. That's my height.
yeah, and he's quick. He's quick, and everybody sees that. So, however, they're going to utilize him again at the 1st and 20 mark, right? Right in that area for Stafford to utilize him to get in there and to score. To get that 1st and goal. However they're going to utilize him. It's going to be he's going to be a fun watch. I'm so proud of him. For him to come back after that injury that sidelined him the previous year and to come back and have a monster year that he had last season, the Rams has got a really, really good one. They got a good one.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into a couple of questions. Are you still good for some time,
Yeah, I'm good.
Marissa? Okay. Can you just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself? And also, how did you end up coming up, starting your podcast show, the sports podcast show? Heard that with Marissa almost the same time as I did with my show in August of 2020.
Oh, that's cool. I love talking about this. So I've always wanted to go into media and radio. I didn't care for going in front of the camera. So, setting my sights behind it, but I have a degree in hotel restaurant management. So I went that route because my background is from Lansing, Michigan. That's where I'm originally from. So went to school, studied culinary arts, studied hotel restaurant management, and worked in the industry, still working in the industry now. And 2020 happened and things changed. I was furloughed from my job. My nephew just moved from Monroe to Texas to complete his senior year here, to live all things Texas. And goes on spring break, and then all of a sudden now he's home in front of a computer completing out the rest of his senior year because they can't go back because of the pandemic. So how all of this came together was a vision board. I'm a big believer in vision boards and writing down my vision of what I want to do. And so years ago, I did a vision board about radio and media and that thing. And it was then that I saw the poster that I made many years ago in my closet, in my my showroom that I have all of my memorabilia stuff in. And I go, well, might as well have started now. So I started that journey and how everything just came together. I already had a laptop, bought a podcasting kit, not the one you currently see this microphone now, but bought an early podcasting kit. I had to get over the fact that if I was going to start this journey, I need to get over the sound of my voice, because I wasn't a big fan of hearing my voice back, but I'm a big stickler on wanting to make sure that I give the audience the correct information and content. So this was going to be a podcast for fans by fans. It wasn't that I'm a journalist, it wasn't that I'm a reporter. It was all fan base about different sporting things that happened. And of course, during the pandemic, not a lot of sports was happening. I mean, for the love of God, we saw the game of horse being played as a filler on ESPN. And I'm like, oh my God, what have we become? I'm never going to take sports for granted as soon as the world opens back up again. So my show is all about, sports and pop culture and entertainment from a fan's point of view. I've now going on almost 4 years on this journey, and it has been absolutely incredible. The people that I've met, the episodes that I've recorded, the stories that people have shared, past athletes, current athletes, journalists that have been on here, some of them that, are in different genres like music and entertainment, share their stories. And the thing that my goal was just to connect with the audience is that whatever they were saying or whatever I'm saying, to make it authentic, because sometimes you listen to people's podcasts and it's so scripted, and so I want to make sure that I'm 100% authentic when it comes to the audience that takes the time to listen. And so I call myself a podcaster on the come up, because we're starting to, build and continue to do so. And it's been an amazing journey. It's been a process because, sometimes life is life and you have to step away from the microphone and, you have to deal with some things. But this is such a beautiful thing to meet other podcasters such as yourself and others that I've been so blessed to be on their platform, and talk about, you know, about podcasting, about how awesome it is with the connection of, different things and different topics that, is discussed, and how sports literally brings people together, as it did when I was walking down the streets of Woodward Avenue at that draft. Just all different backgrounds, all races, different faces, cities, states, countries, how football, basketball, hockey, volleyball, the Olympics, this NBA tournament, how exciting that's been. Just different discussions and genres, and how it just brings people together, to get through different things that's happening in your life. A memory that will click back in your mind of, of a certain game, or you were with, your parent who's no longer there. And I've heard stories about that, about people sharing about the last game they were with their dad, or, a childhood memory of them being at a Celtics Lakers game when that was big and massive in the early 80s. So this is the avenue that I love doing because of the connection that it brings to people when I'm talking in the microphone, or having that guest, share their story and, how they came up in the industry of what they're in. So I just truly enjoyed that. I had the show be on pause, just because of certain things that I had going on, but now I'm back and I'm rejuvenated, and I can't wait to connect with more people throughout this journey, throughout this show, of what I'm doing. And so it's literally saved my life because of so much uncertainty from when I started in 2020 with the pandemic, during the pandemic, and then now, here we are 4 years, from that horrible, horrible, horrible situation. And I feel so grateful and so blessed to when you and other platforms that I've been on recognize me and invite me on your shows. I take that, very seriously, and I take it with a code of honor, because you don't get opportunities like that often. And so when people see you for, what you've done, or a post you've made, or a short little clip that you've done, just to get audience engagement, it means a lot. It really does. So that's why I'm so grateful to be on your show today.
And this is why I love about my show. By the way, we might live in different countries and a couple of thousand miles apart, but I had my career change in March of 2020, just about the same time as yours. And I got a taste of broadcasting through a basketball team, which led me to doing camera work, which led me to the podcast show, which has led me to radio stations, and also getting opportunities by the Toronto Blue Jays farm team, the Buffalo Bills, lacrosse team, the Bandits, the NFL, CFL, and I've been very appreciative and very lucky. And by the way, it's great guests that make a podcast radio show. I just look at myself as a host, and I think my former career in corporate security prepared me for this, because in that profession, I had to deal with all walks of life, all
Yeah.
types of people. It's not just talking, too. You know this as well, Marissa. Listening is huge.
Oh, massive, massive. It is, because nothing, saying this the best way possible. Nothing gets me to stop listening to your show if you continually are interrupting your guest and you won't let them get a word in edgewise. You won't let them tell their story. You won't let them share, who they are, their background. That your listener is so amped and so pumped that you're having this person on your show, or they never heard of this person that wants to hear their story, and then you're interrupting and cutting into so many different things, and it just gets so annoying. And there's certain podcasts, and I'm not going to name them on here, that I will not listen to, because that's what that is all about. And I'm going, how in the world are you still on the waves and you won't let this individual talk, unless it's like a deep, heated conversation, but still you want to hear both sides of the perspective. But that's what it's all about, is like shows like yours and different podcasts where you have guests on there, and you just take the time and just listen to what they have to say, because it could be helping somebody.
And when I first started, Marissa, 4 years ago, I did script things and all that. And then I had Chuck Swirsky on from the Bulls, Eric Smith from the Raptors. They give me some advice. You could write down notes and points, but
Hmm.
talk to your guests like you're having a natural conversation at a donut
Yes.
shop. And that's what I did today with you. I prepared some questions for you, but as soon as we talked, I've learned how to ad lib, and that it's just reps too.
Because you're just getting ready to know somebody. It's like you both are sitting in a family room setting, and you're just having a conversation. That's what my show is all about. It's not about scripts. I like you. I do write the notes. I do jot some stuff down, that I want to, possibly get to. But I let the guests tell their story. I let them talk about what they are going to talk about. I don't pry into their personal. That's the big thing. People want to hear the drama and all that. You're not going to find it on my show. You'll
Same
never
here.
find it on my show. We have too much crazy and chaos going on in the world right now, where you don't have you want to find that show where it's a safe haven, a safe space, away from all the nonsense, away from all the drama. You want to have that moment where you are connecting with your audience and with that person, you feel safe. That's why my ultimate favorite interview of all time is sports broadcasting legend Jane Kennedy Overton. I was so blessed to have her on my program,
Awesome.
and to see her when I was 5, 6 years old, the first Black woman on NFL on CBS, got me hooked into sports because someone looked like me. And so that path, and leading up to many years later, having her be on my show, because she had said that she trusted me, and to, the connection that she felt. I wanted her to tell her story, because she was in this broadcasting, and still is. Her chapter is not done, but she was in this genre of sports, and what she had to deal with as a woman, as a Black woman in the 80s, trying to not just be a pretty face, but to let people know that she can hold her own when it comes to conversating with so many sports legends, as she did, because her resume is massive. So I hope that she gets the opportunity to write her book, so that people can know about what she grew up in Ohio, and then what she had to endure, being on that stage with um, Brent Musburger, they're both still great friends to this day, and behind the scenes, and different things like that there. So that was the start for me, as far as uh, my sports journey, and why I love sports, and my family, growing up with them, and playing sports and watching sports. But that right there, when representation mattered right there on the screen, that was it for me.
Are you able to maybe tonight or this week send me a link to that show with Jane Kennedy? Because I started growing up watching the NFL in the late 70s and early 80s, and I remember her and Phyllis George.
Yes, the great Phyllis George. Yes, she talked about that on the show as well too. Yeah, most definitely, and people can follow along and watch. It was, like I said, one of the greatest moments in awe, like literally to the point where I chopped it up with her, and we had this great conversation afterwards, and we still chat. But just it when you have one of these guests on there that changed your life, you just take a moment and you just let it sit. And tears, yeah, I did cry. because it was just like, how does this person that is an absolute hero to me say yes to this little small little platform, not a big massive one, not the ESPNs and the all of that. You said yes to my show, so it was just like you said, it was just like so overwhelming with the whole NFL draft and just taking it all in. That's what that moment felt like when we were done, and my editor wrapped everything up and it just came back and it was just so amazing. Um, just one of those moments I will never forget.
The people in the radio TV industry, I never thought would give me the time of day, like Dan Schumann from ESPN. So many others that I kind of grew up watching and listening to have come on
Mhm.
my show, and it makes you feel so good and motivated because they want to
Yes,
come and help you. They want to see your work, and I'm very lucky and very appreciative of all my guests and all my media opportunities.
that's awesome. And congratulations to you on your show. This is absolutely incredible.
And I'm a new subscriber to your show. And besides Jane Kennedy, have there been some other memorable episodes and some other memorable guests that you've had on your show so far?
Oh gosh. Jane being one of them. I've done guest spots on different shows, like different platforms on either Instagram or their show. I've talked to ESPN personality Jay Harris. That was absolutely incredible. Um, I have talked to, uh, um, gosh, why is his name slipping me? But he used to play for the Dallas Cowboys, and um, he was on a competition show to win a
Jesse
spot. Yes,
Jesse
Jesse.
Hall Jesse
Thank you,
Hawley.
Jesse Holly. I don't know why in the world didn't his name just slip me. His face came into my mind. Jesse Holly was on my show. That was an incredible episode. Like literally, I could have talked to that man for hours. But to talk about his background growing up in New Jersey and him playing football and basketball, winning a national championship with North Carolina, and then going through the whole NFL thing and getting cut and then having that second chance on that show, and then having the short time that had with the Dallas Cowboys. His story is absolutely incredible. He was one of my favorite guests on the show, so that was awesome too.
And also, I was reading on your bio, you were named a light carrier by Oprah Winfrey. What was that like meeting her
Oh,
and being
meeting her,
talked to?
Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
That was everything. That was everything. It was several years ago. We had a special invite. I had been on tour at her own studios in Los Angeles, and that was awesome. And she was on location, but she gave us all a shout out and said my name, Marisa, and I thought I was gonna faint right there in the lobby because she's like, "Hi, Marisa," and I'm like, "Oh my god." But unbeknownst to me that we would be invited to celebrate her birthday um, at her studios and invited to a birthday party. And then, to have that special 2 hours of her just uh, giving us empowerment, encouragement. And then we encouraged her and she thanked us for, bringing us through a difficult time in her life. And then at the end to get photos with her and just have that little conversation, that side conversation with her. um I that still, and I got the goosebumps again, that moment, talking with her when she won. That was the year she won the Cecil B. DeMille, is when we went to go celebrate her birthday. So I was asking her questions about that, and uh I don't know who it is to this day. I don't know who it was that got this small little clip of me talking to her, that sent it to me. That when I look back at that and I'm like, oh my God, you spoke to Oprah Winfrey, you met her. Wow, it blows my mind. So that was absolutely amazing. And I think um the term light carrier, she called us that because of, you know, when she left 25 years of doing the Oprah Winfrey show and took a chance on herself and said, you know what, I want my own network. she got a lot of pushback and a lot of flack for that. Saying, well, you had a great thing going. You have every day that you were talking to an audience, you connected with your audience, you were giving stuff away, you were doing all the things. Why are you leaving and going and doing this avenue? But she always wanted to do that. She always wanted to have her own network. She wanted to have where she was able to have people that come in with show ideas, and then her doing shows and connecting with her audience that way. So it was hard for her the first several years because the audience was not into what she was doing. They're like, no, we want you Monday through Friday in, Chicago, giving away all the things. We want you to have contests. We want you to have Oprah's favorite things. I want to go in your audience and I want to cry and I want to fall down. I want to lose my mind because you're giving me all these lavish trips and everything else. But that was not her avenue. And so the thing that I took away from that, Chris, is that people, yes, I have a 9 to 5 and I have a nighttime shift and everything else, but I have a passion too that I'm pursuing, which is this. And so, your goals and your dreams shift, and people will go and tell you that you can't. And at the end of the day, it's up to you if you believe them or you believe in what you want to do. And the path has not been easy. It has been time consuming. It has taken, finances have not been coming in my way sometimes, but I know that I love this. I love this journey because I will get notes about people saying, oh my God, I saw this episode you made 2 years ago about da 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 da, loved it. Or, oh my gosh, I'm following you on Instagram because this episode that you had when I was listening to you on Apple Podcasts. Or, that's right there for me. That's everything. That's everything. And that keeps me going. And for the fact that, like I said, and I'll keep saying it over and over again, I love doing this. I love this journey. I love betting on myself. I love proving people wrong. That people are think
Sounds
that you have this window, right? That you think you have this podcasting window that that they want the younger ones
yeah.
to be behind the microphone. And I'm like, I started this journey at 47. I'm
I
51.
Actually, I'm the same age as you. I was
Yeah.
47 as well. So, you know what? Even though we're kind of strangers in that, this is why I love about this show because every show I get is guests, and some of my guests, their stories are very similar to mine.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing of connection. That's what it's all about. And it's important to connect to the people that is listening to your show. And somebody from this show, who knows, I hope that they, get to know me better. And if they follow my journey on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, thank you. I appreciate that. But I want them, the lesson of all of this is I want them to, whatever dream and whatever passion that they've had that's been shelved for a long time, or you let somebody deter you from what you always wanted to do, I challenge you to pick that up and start your dream. Just start it. What are you waiting for? Just because somebody said something, you and I had talked about this. I've gotten tons of no's. I've
Yep.
gotten tons of you're not readies. I've gotten tons of your audience isn't big enough. I've gotten tons of all of that. But it doesn't stop me from going because I know that door is shut, but a bigger door is opening for me. And that's exactly what happened for me at the NFL draft. And I know that a dream is all possible. You just got to make it work by putting in the work. Period.
I was going to ask you about advice for those watching or listening today, but you summed it up right there, Marissa. And I want to say thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And finally, I do this with all my guests before we wrap this up. What is a fun fact about yourself and the great state of Michigan?
Oh my goodness. Fun fact about myself. Ooh, I am a good time. I My husband and I, we love to go to car shows. Something about car shows, we just get so fascinated with them. We'll go to car shows. We love going to museums together and having a good time. Um, the state of Michigan. I mean, I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of where I'm from. Anytime I get the opportunity to go back there, for me, it's always I got to get a Coney, I got to get a Verner's, I got to get a Fago, and I got to get a souvenir of one of my favorite teams because here in Texas I don't see a lot of that here. So to get it there on Michigan soil, it means so much to me. I mean, I can order it, which is perfectly fine, but to get it there when I go home, it means it values so much more. Fancy and family there, it values so much more. So that's that's that is what the state of Michigan home. It means that's what it means to me. The Mitten State. I always represent, the 517, the capital city. What up, though? The 313, Detroit. I'm proud of. I'm proud of this past weekend. I'm proud of where Detroit is going. I'm proud of this of the state of Michigan. I will always, always, always love my city, love my state.
And finally, where can my audience who are watching or listening today follow you on social media, your website, and when is your next podcast show available?
All right, awesome. So my podcast shows drop every Thursday. We're back. I just recorded one this morning, recapping the NFL draft. I am on X. I almost said Twitter. I'm so used to Twitter, but I'm on
Same
X
here.
uh, at lovely Marisa T, Marisat. I am on Instagram, Marisa_Tigney_ podcast. I'm also on TikTok, the same exact name, Marisa Tigney podcast. And I have a Heard That Marisa Tigney page on Facebook. So give me a follow. No drama. I don't do any drama. I just, go and I post a bunch of things that are fascinating to me, sports. I have a YouTube channel, Heard That with Marisa Tigney. And I post there. Like I said, the show is resuming up and they're resuming up this week. And yeah, give me a follow. I'm a good time. And I like to chop it up with people. I like to chop it up with fans, thought provoking stuff. But you know, that's how I connect. I love connecting with folks. So thank you again for the invite on this show. It was absolutely a blast.
Hey, Marissa, you have an open invite to come back on my show again in the future and talk more Detroit Lions or more Detroit sports. And by the way, before I came back to Ontario Friday, I always had to get a little plug to a local Detroit brewery called Atwater Brewery. And I ended up
Ah,
getting some D-Light beer, the official beer of the Detroit Tigers. And Michigan, like I said, I have family there in Taylor, Michigan, Allen Park, and I always have a great time when I visit the state of Michigan or in your country, the United States. But I want to say, Marissa, this hour flew by, and I want to say thank you so much for coming on here today. And
thank you.
we'll definitely keep in touch. And you have an open invite to come back on my show anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience. Oh, I hit my microphone. Thank you to the audience. I appreciate it.
You have a great afternoon, and I will send you an audio, video copy, and I'll make some clips, reels that you can post on your social media later, Marissa.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I will do that. I will put it on all platforms. Thank you so much.
And to honor your team, go Lions.
Let's go. Go Lions.
Thank
Yes.
you so much, Marissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed season 8, episode 8, overall 393 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph today. That was my guest, Marisa Tigney, who is the host of her own podcast show, Heard That with Marissa as well. And you can check out our website, heardthatwithmarissa.com. Before we wrap this up, guys, I was at the NFL draft opening night. I got to do some player interviews with some of the draft picks, and this is courtesy of my YouTube channel. This is a first round pick, number 2 overall, quarterback Jaden Daniels, who was selected by the Washington Commanders, courtesy of my YouTube channel. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe and like notification. Jaden Daniels, the number 1 pick, 2nd overall by the Washington Commanders.
That's what they're expecting. Respect the hard work and somebody that genuinely themselves. I mean, just being a sponge. I just comes in with just learning how to be a pro. So that's a big thing. Go out there, get around the vets, and learn how to be a pro. And it's dope. I've been watching those guys perform at a high level. Guys like C.J. Stroud, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, those type of guys. And now being able to be a part of the family, be able to compete against them, it's amazing for me to be a part of it. And I'm just coming in and compete. I got to earn my role. I got to earn everything. Nothing's given to me, no matter how I was drafted or anything like that. I got to come in and compete and show up every day and go to work. I mean, I talk to them a lot. Zoom calls, obviously, our pre-draft visit, combine. So just getting to know them, letting them know me as a person, getting to know them as people too. Man, waiting for this point. That's the toughest part. No, just not knowing where you're going. There's so much unknown. It's the first time in my life that I get to choose where I go. I was in high school, choosing college and stuff like that. But I'm excited. Man. I'm blessed.
JD, what role has football played in your identity and sense of self?
I'm Jane Daniels, the person, and then football is just what I do. So I don't let football define me who I am as a human being. But it's just something I do, and I'm passionate about it. What was that? And I'm just coming in. I don't got no role. I'm a rookie. I'm ready to go out there and just have fun, meet my new teammates, and compete. Somebody just want to compete, have that mentality, go out there and do whatever it takes to win, whatever role I am. I want to be the best in that role, in that position, be the best human being each and every day. It's gonna be fun, man. That's my brother. So I'm proud of him. We work for this, and it's surreal now we're in the same division. So for sure, after that first time we played each other, we for sure got this crazy stuff. I'm just happy I'm drafted. Really, it's a blessing. God put me in this position. So without him, I wouldn't be here today. I'm ready with a football game. excuse my language. I'm ready to help the team win some football games. Man. I'm ready to go out there, live on my childhood dream. What was that? Oh, I got my whole family back home. I know they going crazy right now, friends, family, but people that came with me, my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, my sister, and obviously my team, my agency, and things like that. Man, I love DQ. He just wants to get to know the person, man. Football is what he does, but he's really genuine about people. Appreciate y'all.
That clip was courtesy of my YouTube channel. That was Jaden Daniels, the number 2 pick overall in this year's draft taken by the Washington Commanders. Quickly, again, the NFL draft, the first round, top 5 picks. Caleb Williams, quarterback, went to Chicago. Jaden Daniels, number 2, went to Washington. Number 3 was Drake May, went to the New England Patriots. The number 4 pick in the first round, Wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State went to the Arizona Cardinals, and the number 5 pick offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Alt, went to the Los Angeles Chargers. The national champion Michigan Wolverines had a record 13 players taken in the NFL draft, and this year there was 4 Canadian players taken in the NFL draft as well. Speaking of Canada, the CFL draft is today, 8 o'clock tonight on TSN, TSN Plus, and CFL picks right now: number 1, Edmonton; number 2, Ottawa; Saskatchewan, number 3; Calgary, 4; the Toronto Argonauts get the 5th pick; BC, 6th; Hamilton, 7; Winnipeg, 8th; and Montreal, 9th. And there'll be 74 players drafted in this year's CFL draft and 8 rounds. So again, you can catch it tonight at 8 o'clock on TSN and TSN Plus, the CFL draft as well. And the CFL training camp will be starting up in the next week and a half. And the Toronto Argonauts will be back at the University of Guelph. And their first preseason game will be on Friday, May 31st against the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Alumni Stadium at the University of Guelph. The next live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph, is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, May 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Steve Bermel. He is the Buffalo Bandits color analyst on their TV broadcast on CW23 alongside John Gerkler, and also on the Bet 1520 and WGR 550 with John Gerkler and Dave Buchanan as well. And the NLL semifinals are taking place this weekend. It's going to be for the 4th straight year, the Toronto Rock and the Buffalo Bandits. And the Bandits have eliminated the Rock the last couple years. So Toronto Buffalo starts this weekend, this Friday night at 7 o'clock at the First Ontario Center. Game 2 will be Sunday at 5:30 at the KeyBank Center. Yours truly will be covering Game 2 at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo for the Bandits and Rock. That's going to be a hell of a game. And then Game 3 will be, I think, Saturday, May 11th, back at the First Ontario Center. The Rock went 15-3 this year, but 0-2 against the Bandits in the regular season. And the Bandits didn't have their greatest regular season, 11-7, but the Bandits now have won their last 5 games, 4 straight regular season games, and then their exciting 10-9 overtime win over Georgia, scored by Josh Byrne at the 4:21 mark in overtime. So Steve Bermel is going to talk about the Bandits' win against Georgia in overtime, and we're going to preview the best of 3 series against their QEW rivals, the Toronto Rock, and it's going to be tremendous lacrosse. And we're down to the Final 4 in the National Lacrosse League. Obviously, Buffalo and Toronto, and then the other semifinals is Albany Firewolves taking on the San Diego Seals as well. So this is going to be great. Final 4 for the NLL, and their games will be on TSN. I'm not sure of their schedule yet, but look for the TSN National Lacrosse League Game of the Week coming soon as well. So again, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock with Steve Bermel, color analyst with the Buffalo Bandits. Also, guys, as always, live with CDP Sports Talk. Actually, we'll do that after. If you're looking for a forever pet and friend, check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, 519-623-7722, or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. Check out dogs such as Cleo and Clifford on their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they are also doing a monthly 50-50 draw. You can get 100 tickets for $50, 20 tickets for $20, and you can get 5 tickets for $10. And you can do it through the cambridgehumanesociety.org website, or visit the Cambridge Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge. And also, I want to give a shout out to one of my friends. His name is Bob Roberts. Bob Roberts, he's the CEO of Pro Edge Sports and Collectible. If you're in the Port Huron, Michigan, Sarnia area, and you're looking for sports memorabilia or sports clothes of your favorite Detroit team, check out Pro Edge Sports Collectibles. They're at Birchwood Mall, Suite 114 at Fort Gradit, Michigan, 48050 9. And you can reach Bob Roberts, the owner and CEO of Pro Edge Sports and Collectibles. You can call Bob at 810, area code 810-824-4088. If you're looking for Michigan Wolverines, Lions, Tigers, Spartans, Pistons, Red Wings, Gears, he has it at Pro Edge Sports and Collectibles. And I want to shout out to one of my friends. His name is Gio Hamilton. He is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he's also has his own podcast show called Gio the Podcaster as well. And it was so cool meeting him, and he's such a passionate Eagles fan. He's now living in Indianapolis. So shout out to Gio the Podcaster as well. Finally, also Live with CDP Sports Talk is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Pame. Is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website is wqeefm.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is also live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. Follow me there at Chris Pame. And speaking of social media, if you're looking for a personalized video, birthday wishes, pep talks, want to ask me a question about my radio show or media work, check out cameo.com and type in Chris Pame. Proceeds from my personalized videos to you. The money will go to my radio and media work. Again, Chris Pame, Live with CDP is on Cameo. So check me out at cameo.com and make sure you book your video now with CDP. Also, guys, I have my own website. You can check out all my media work and social media sites at beacons.ai/Chris D. Pame. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet, right now is truck months at Barry Cullen Chevrolet. 0% financing for up to 60 months, or $10,000 off select Silverado 1500 crew cab trucks. More details at barrycullen.com. You can check out this content creator at Live with CDP on TikTok. At Live with CDP on TikTok. Make sure you hit that follow notification. And again, I want to say thank you to my 2,100 plus followers on TikTok. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com for pricing and plans. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and TuneIn. And I want to say thank you to everyone listening on these audio platforms today with my show with my guest, Marisa Tigney. Finally, you guys can email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpame19@gmail.com, or text the show at 519-820-7188. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And also tonight we have NBA playoffs. Philadelphia and New York. The Knicks lead 3-1, looking to eliminate the Sixers. Orlando and Cleveland, Game 5, they're tied at 2-2. And Indiana against Milwaukee. The Pacers are up 3-1, and they can eliminate the Bucks tonight with another win. Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, guys. We've got the Toronto Maple Leafs once again facing first round elimination to the Boston Bruins again. Bruins lead that best of 7 series 3-1, and we're not even sure if Austin Matthews is going to be available for Game 5 tonight. As of now, at 3:24 p.m., we have no idea if Matthews is going to play, but the Bruins are up 3-1. This game tonight, Game 5, is in Boston, and I would look for the Bruins to finish off the Leafs. And if the Leafs go out tonight in 5 games, I would look for major changes with that organization going into 24-25 with that core 5 that have been together since 2016, 2017. So we'll see what happens there. And that's about it. I'm looking forward to my show tomorrow night. 7 o'clock with Steve Bermel, the color analyst from the Buffalo Bandits, talking Bandits rock. Bandits overtime went over Georgia 10-9 in overtime. So that's going to be a great show with Steve. He's a good color analyst and he's a friend of mine. And again, I want to say thank you to my guest today, Marisa Tigney, for coming on and talking about her podcast show, her media career, and her experience at the NFL draft in the city of Detroit. And I'm going to say this. If you haven't been to the city of Detroit recently, check out the city of Detroit. It redeveloped and reinvented itself. And the time I was down there for the NFL draft on Thursday night with 275,000 people, I felt safe and secure. And it was a great time by the National Football League. And I managed to get some pictures with some players and some interviews as well. So I check out my YouTube channel, my social media pages for my pictures and some videos. And I'm hoping to be at the next year's draft, the 2025 NFL draft will be at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. So fingers crossed I'll be there for that. And again, a reminder, guys, tonight, 8 p.m., the CFL draft is on TSN and also on TSN Plus, and there'll be 8 rounds, 74 players drafted in the Argonauts. My team, the Toronto Argonauts, have the 5th selection in the first round. And again, the Edmonton Elks are picking first, so 8 o'clock tonight as well. And that's about it. Again, thank you to Marisa Tigney for coming on our show today. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching and listening to our show, and to radio station WQEE 99.1 FM and the Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership for sponsoring this show as well. I hope everybody has a great night. Enjoy the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 o'clock with Steve Bermel, the color analyst from the National Lacrosse League champion, Buffalo Bandits.